Hi everyone, my name is Bill Kinsey. I'm the head athletic trainer at Earlham College, and this is...
I'm Kari Kinsey, his wife, and also the admin assistant over in LBC in the Center for Career Education.
And today we're going to make a dish that's tradition in our family. Kari's made it every St. Patrick's Day for the last 30 years. And yeah, I know, don't be shocked. We are old enough to be married 30 years to each other. I know we don't look that old, but we are. But this dish is called Dublin Coddle. It's a popular Irish dish, and Kari does a good job making it. And we do it every March. So she knows what she's doing, so I'm just going to assist her and let her do all the prep work.
So first, what you want to do before you cut up your potatoes and stuff is you want to get the meat that you're going to use. Now, Dublin Coddle is very easy. There's just 4 ingredients. There's smoked sausage, bacon. Now you want whatever kind of bacon you like, but you don't probably want anything too sweet. And then it can be streaky because you want some fat in it, okay? And then potatoes and onion, a yellow onion usually. And then what you want to do first is, I put these gloves on, now I'm not going to be opening the packages. First you want to cut up the meat. And cut it up how you're going to put it in. So don't make too big of chunks for the sausage. You want it to last because you're going to layer this. So I usually just, right, gloves.
And we always use smoked sausage, but you can use other types of sausage too if you want to.
Right.
Some type of turkey sausage if you're looking to be a little bit more healthier.
And you could probably even use like a tofu sausage if you're vegan. You could probably use that kind of stuff for all of these ingredients. But see how it's kind of not too thick? You can make some a little bit thicker than that, but I would say that's probably good. And it's never quite the same when you're cutting it up. See, because I got some bigger pieces and stuff, but you just don't want great big chunks. So we got that cut up.
And we usually cook for this for a family of 4 or 5. So, you know, you can monitor your portions depending on how many people you're trying to cook for. Whether it's just you and some friends in the dorm room, or you're trying to just make this. So we're going to use two full things of smoked sausage.
Yeah, and you know, if you only have a couple of people, you can just use a couple of potatoes in a small pan, or like I do, it's usually about, the actual recipe calls for about 6 to 8 large potatoes. So I just usually get a bag and cut everything up, and then whatever I don't use for the Dublin Coddle, I make potato soup with.
This is your typical Irish dish. It's just meat and potatoes.
Yeah. And there will be some seasoning, mostly just salt and pepper. But if you think you know something that you would like to, another seasoning that you would like to go in it and you think it would taste good, try it. It doesn't hurt anything. It's your meal. You kind of work with it. Okay, so once you get the sausage cut up, we cut up the bacon. Here, you want to open it? And you just want to slice. I just take the whole thing out and slice it into about 1-inch chunks. You could probably do smaller or larger than that. Should have used a different knife, maybe. That's the problem with bacon. It's hard to cut because of the fat and everything that's in it. But yeah, if you're a vegan or you know you don't eat red meat, don't be turned off by this. You can always use substitutes. And I made it once with turkey sausage and bacon, and it didn't quite taste the same, but it was still good. Okay, so this goes in a pan with some water. Now the sausage is already cooked, but you want it heated up. And then the bacon, of course, you want it to boil and get heated up really good. It smells really good. I haven't had lunch yet. Okay, and then we're gonna put water in it.
How much do you want?
Almost fill it up, because you want it pretty submersed. Okay, so then you just turn it on to boil, and you can let it boil however long, usually at least a half an hour, because it's going to cook some more when it's in the pan with the potatoes and the onions, okay? So that should give you plenty of time to cut up the potatoes and onions. Now, my lovely assistant has already peeled some potatoes, but just so you kind of know, this is how potatoes come. You just want the skin off. If there's a little bit left on there, it's no big deal. You can even make it rusticy, and if you really, clean them really well, you could probably just cut them with the skin on even. But we usually peel them. So once they're peeled, you just slice them, okay? Now, like the meat, it's not going to be uniform unless you're really good at something like that. So you just slice the slices. Some might be thin, some might be thick. I usually put the thicker ones down at the bottom of the pan because they're going to take a little bit more to cook, and it's the hottest down there by the element. So you just do what you think you need to do. Bigger ones are best, but sometimes when you buy a bag, you have no choice of what you get. So you just have to kind of deal with it. So then, after you get the potatoes done, probably could have used a few more maybe.
Can't use the red one.
Oh, right.
Use the green one.
Well, we need to move those to a bowl or something then. Now, everybody's favorite thing to do. Peeling an onion. Now, my family doesn't like onion really, so I only use one, but I think the original recipe actually called for 2. So it's up to you. If you don't like onion, maybe you can try something else, onion pepper or onion powder or something like that. Or like we do, I just put some in and then my kids just eat around it.
So what do you do? Because I've heard tricks, peel an onion under cold water to prevent crying. I've heard some people wear goggles in order to prevent crying with their onions.
I don't really have a trick, I just do it. But I do wash my hands with salt and cold water afterwards so the smell isn't on it.
Salt and cold water?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it really helps, but I think it does. So I guess maybe it could be psychological. Okay. I'm not used to working with gloves on, but you have to be safe on campus. So then you want to cut them in rings, your typical onion cut, because you want a large surface. But I tear them apart when I do them, so it's several ringlets. But you could probably even dice them if you'd rather have them that way. You don't want them big and chunky. Or you can cut them thicker if you really like the flavor of onion. But this is about how I cut them so that it's not too bad. I know.
Even though I am trained to take care of that.
Yes. Okay. There's the onion. Get rid of all that stuff we don't want. And then I usually put it in the bowl with the potatoes while we wait for the meat. And that is, since it just kind of got started, like I said, around a half an hour or however long, that's usually how long I cook it, but you are going to cook it some more once it's all put together in the other pot. So if you feel like maybe, just go ahead and do it. It'll be okay. And that's it for right now.
All right, everybody, we're back. The meat has cooked for half an hour. Now it's time to layer everything up into the pot.
Okay, so you want to save the broth that the meat has created. And the first thing you're going to do is just put a tiny bit down in the bottom of your pan. Do you want to bring that over? Just a little bit. There, that's good, that's good. And that's going to kind of help put a barrier between the bottom of the pan and your potatoes. Now, I don't mind the potatoes on the bottom getting a little brown.
I do.
He does. But they're still good and they eat, but this might help with the sticking and not getting burnt. Okay? So that is your first layer. That's what we're going to do with this. And now you can see that I have made this so many times that many, many, many years ago, I stopped separating the bacon from the meat. Just because it saves time and plus it's really hot. And so you can mix it together for their layers because they're layered on top of each other. So that's not a big deal. And you can just stir it around and get them kind of mixed up good so you can put that on, okay? Now the first layer is potatoes. And like I said, if you kind of go through and pick out your biggest, fattest ones, and then you put a layer, I don't know if you can see that.
There should be down into the camera there.
You put this layer on, and once you've done it a few times, it doesn't take very long to get this going. And just really put a total layer in, just like that. Okay, and I mean, you're not going to get in the little crevices and stuff, but you know, getting in there, if you have a few small pieces, you can throw those in like the end pieces or something. Okay, then it'll go the meat. So I just usually take a spoonful and just kind of do this with it. And if you look like you got more bacon there than sausage, grab some sausage out of it and put a little more of that in. Now it doesn't have to be a solid layer because this is going to all get mixed up, and really the potatoes, even though the meat back in the day, they didn't have a lot of meat, so the meat would have been scarce. That's why there's a lot of potatoes in this, to try and beef it up some. So you just put a nice layer there. See if you can get it into some of the corners. There you go. Then I take the onion, okay? And see, remember I said my family doesn't like it, so I even tear it apart. And I just kind of spread it out over so that the flavor gets in there. Because even if you don't eat the onion part, flavor is important, that there is onion flavor in there. Okay, then you start the process again. Okay, now, before you put the broth on, we're going to season it, okay? That way, when you pour the broth on, it'll disperse it and it's not just sitting on the top layer, okay? So you put as much as you think you need. I am notorious for over salting.
Very much so.
I hate adding it afterwards because it doesn't taste the same, but then, you know, the thing is you can always put more salt on. You can't take it off once it's on there. So, and the meat will give you some salt too. Now, I use Hillshire Farm because it's less salty. Eckrich can be very salty, so watch out if that's something you're looking for. And then you fill it up.
So again, this is all the leftover that you cooked the meat in.
Right.
So you kind of made your own broth.
And it doesn't have to cover the top. You need to be able to see it on the sides. You can also use chicken broth if you'd like. You can cook the meat in the chicken broth, or you can just use it afterwards if you don't want the fat that's in the sausage and the bacon. Then you cover it and put it on the stove for 45 minutes. Hopefully that gets your potatoes cooked. Like I said, if not, if the top ones are still a little tough, just leave it on for another 10-15 minutes. It's not going to really hurt anything because the bacon and everything's already cooked. So then we just wait. All
right, my partner had to go back to work, so it's just me right now, but everything is done up here. You can see in the pot we've got the potatoes and everything's kind of mixed together into like a stew type of concoction here. So this is really good. Now we've got the potatoes. They've all soaked up the sausage and the bacon fat. So everything's nice and tender, and you just get whatever size portion you want. And there we go, all ready to go. Dublin Coddle for St. Paddy's Day.